In a decision that will be studied for decades, the United States Supreme Court delivered a stunning blow to the Trump administration today, October 4, 2025. The court ruled that the president's sweeping use of emergency powers to impose massive tariffs on imported goods was unconstitutional. This isn't just about American politics, it's a global turning point. The ruling strikes at the heart of the America First trade agenda, challenging the immense power the White House has wielded in negotiations worldwide. The tariffs, once a cornerstone of foreign and economic policy, have now been shattered. The immediate impact: chaos and uncertainty. Businesses owed billions in refunds, trading partners scrambling to adjust. The Supreme Court has drawn a line, telling the executive branch its authority is not absolute, even in emergencies. This reasserts Congress's role in shaping national policy and signals a shift in how America engages with the world. The shockwaves are just beginning. This moment is about more than money. It's about the limits of power. The legal battle began with a 1977 law, repurposed for a new era of economic nationalism. The Trump administration argued for swift tools to protect against unfair trade, but opponents saw dangerous overreach. The outcome has now reshaped the landscape for presidents, forcing a new conversation about who truly controls America's trade destiny. To understand today's ruling, we need to revisit the administration's strategy. President Trump's trade plan relied on the International Emergency Economic Powers Act, or IEEPA, a 1977 law meant for true emergencies. The administration declared unfair trade practices a national emergency, imposing tariffs up to 50%, bypassing Congress. Critics argued IEEPA was never meant for broad economic policy, but as a way to sidestep checks and balances. The Constitution gives Congress, not the president, the power to regulate commerce. This fundamental disagreement set the stage for a massive legal fight. The administration defended its actions as necessary to protect American jobs, but the legal interpretation was vulnerable. By using IEEPA, the administration gambled the courts would defer to presidential authority. It was a bet they have now lost. The legal challenge came from a coalition of businesses, industry groups, and legal scholars. Their case: the president cannot impose taxes, tariffs, without Congress. They argued the administration used a law for emergencies to rewrite trade policy, overreaching executive power. The administration countered that IEEPA gave the president broad discretion to define and respond to national emergencies, including economic threats. Conflicting lower court rulings created uncertainty, but a federal appeals court sided with the challengers, ruling most tariffs illegal. This set up a dramatic Supreme Court showdown. On one side, those favoring a powerful executive. On the other, those fearing unchecked presidential power. The Supreme Court now had to decide which vision would prevail. The Supreme Court answered with a decisive 6-3 majority. The court declared the administration's use of IEEPA for broad tariffs unconstitutional. The majority opinion defended the separation of powers, stating the power to tax and regulate commerce belongs to Congress. The Chief Justice wrote, "The power of the purse is the most fundamental check on executive authority." The court found the tariff program was not a temporary crisis response, but a long-term policy change requiring Congress's approval. Dissenting justices argued the court was overstepping and should defer to the president on national security. The ruling invalidates billions in tariffs imposed under IEEPA, though not all tariffs. The decision is final and cannot be appealed. The White House must now confront the legal and financial consequences. This is one of the most significant checks on presidential power in modern history. The economic impact is immediate and immense. The U.S. government now owes billions in tariff refunds, creating a massive liability for the Treasury. For many American businesses, costs will drop, potentially lowering prices for consumers. Industries once protected by tariffs, like steel and aluminum, now face renewed foreign competition. Major brands hurt by retaliatory tariffs abroad may see markets reopen, but recovery will take time. The ruling creates a new landscape for global business, but the process of unwinding these policies will be complex. There are clear winners, import-heavy industries and consumers, and clear losers, especially protected sectors. The biggest short-term loser: the U.S. government, facing a fiscal hole. The full effects will unfold over months, creating a period of significant adjustment. The economic fallout is a mixed bag, with both opportunity and challenge ahead. The Supreme Court's decision has sent ripples across the globe. America's trading partners, long targeted by unpredictable tariffs, see hope for a return to rules-based trade. The European Union called the decision a victory and is reviewing its retaliatory tariffs. U.S. negotiators have lost their main bargaining chip, forcing a shift to more traditional negotiations. Countries like India now have a stronger position at the table. Yet uncertainty remains. Will the U.S. pivot to other legal tools like Section 232 national security tariffs? International observers worry the trade wars may simply enter a new phase under a different legal name. The global trading system, already shaken, faces a new variable. The old order isn't instantly restored. Partners are watching closely. Will the U.S. embrace multilateral cooperation or find new ways to pursue America first? The world is holding its breath, knowing decisions in Washington will shape the global economy for years. The next moves will determine whether this is a turning point or just a pause in ongoing trade battles. The political fallout is as significant as the economic. For President Trump, this is a major defeat. His signature trade policy struck down. The ruling reasserts checks and balances, emboldening Congress to reclaim authority over trade. The White House is forced to manage the fallout and pivot to new strategies like Section 232 tariffs. This move is risky, inviting accusations of abusing national security laws for economic gain. The administration is in damage control, trying to project strength amid setback. The decision exposes deep divides over presidential power and trade policy. Supporters may see this as judicial overreach. Opponents, a triumph for the rule of law. The debate over trade and executive power is far from over. It's only intensified. The political consequences will shape American politics for years to come. What do the experts say? Legal scholars call this one of the most important separation of powers cases in decades. A clear reminder that Congress, not the president, sets tax and trade policy. The ruling will constrain future presidents' use of emergency powers for economic goals. Economists predict short-term market volatility, but potential long-term benefits, lower prices, smoother supply chains. However, the administration's pivot to Section 232 tariffs is a new wildcard. If trade disputes resume, gains could vanish. Foreign policy analysts see a chance to reset strained alliances and return to cooperative trade, but warn that doubling down on protectionism could further damage America's standing. The next few weeks will show if this is a real change or just a temporary setback for America first. Political strategists say the ruling is a blow to the president, but may rally his base. For independents and businesses, it validates concerns about disruptive, unconstitutional policies. The decision is a political earthquake, reshaping debates over the economy, the presidency, and America's global role. The aftershocks will be felt for years. All eyes are on what happens next. Today's Supreme Court decision marks the end of an era for American trade policy. The use of IEEPA for sweeping tariffs is over. A new legal precedent is set. The immediate road ahead is rocky. Billions in refunds, political battles, and new legal fights over Section 232 tariffs. Congress now has a chance to reassert its authority, likely leading to new legislation defining presidential power. The administration will not abandon its protectionist goals, setting up the next battleground. This moment forces a national conversation. Who should control trade policy? The president or Congress? The Supreme Court clarified the constitutional rules, moving the debate into the open. It's a chance for a national reset, to rebuild alliances and rethink America's global role. The direction ahead will be shaped by choices made in the wake of this landmark decision.